Holidays are supposed to feel safe. Like the world is warmer for a few weeks. Airports play the same songs on repeat, families post the same smiling photos, and strangers are just nicer. That's the lie we all buy into. Because holiday travel is also when people get tired, distracted, rushed. It's when you trust the wrong rideshare, take the wrong shortcut, book the last room available, and tell yourself, it's fine. Nothing's going to happen. It's the holidays. Tonight, I'm sharing 4 very scary true holiday travel horror stories. Stories told the way they were told to me, by people who still don't like talking about them. And the worst part? In every single one, they made it home. They just didn't come back alone. I'm going to start with the one that messed me up the most, because it starts so normal it hurts. It was a few days before Christmas, and I was flying home from school. I was 21, broke, exhausted, and running on iced coffee and adrenaline. Finals had just ended. My whole dorm was basically empty. The campus looked like a ghost town with Christmas lights. My flight landed late, like really late. The airport was still crowded, but it had that weird nighttime energy. The kind where everything feels dim even under bright lights. People were slumped in chairs. Kids were crying. A janitor pushed a mop like he was moving through thick water. I texted my mom. Landed. Getting the shuttle to long-term parking. My car was parked in the economy lot because it was cheaper. The shuttle ran all night. It was one of those chunky buses with the vinyl seats and foggy windows. I followed the signs, went outside, and instantly regretted it. It was freezing. Wind cutting right through my hoodie. Everything smelled like jet fuel and wet pavement. Holiday travelers were standing in small clusters, dragging luggage, faces red from the cold. I saw a shuttle pull up. The doors hissed open. People climbed on. I didn't even check the number. That right there was the mistake. I got on, found a seat near the middle, and put my backpack on my lap. The heater blasted air that smelled dusty and old, like something burning. The driver didn't say anything. I didn't really look at him. Just a big guy in a dark beanie, shoulders hunched. The shuttle pulled away. At first, it felt normal. We looped around the airport like usual. But then, it kept going. The economy lot was supposed to be a quick ride. 10 minutes, maybe? But we passed the exit I remembered. Then another. And another. I leaned forward and looked out the window. We were leaving the airport roads. The buildings got smaller. The lights thinned out. The streets became darker, emptier. And the other passengers, there weren't many, maybe 5 or 6, weren't talking. None of them looked confused. None of them were checking their phones. That's when I felt that tightness in my chest. That feeling you get right before your brain fully admits something's wrong. I stood up and walked closer to the front. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual. "Is this the shuttle to economy parking?" The driver didn't respond. I waited. He kept driving. I tried again, louder. "Sir? I think I might be on the wrong shuttle." He turned his head slightly. Just enough that I saw part of his face in the mirror. His eyes weren't on me. They were on the road. And his expression was blank. Like he was wearing someone else's face. Finally, he spoke. Quietly. "Sit down." Just 2 words. No explanation. No apology. No. "Yeah, this one's going somewhere else." Just sit down. Every hair on my arm stood up. I stared at him, and then I glanced back at the passengers. One of them met my eyes. A woman in a red scarf, maybe mid-30s. She looked like she'd been crying. Her eyes were swollen. She didn't blink. She just slowly shook her head at me. Not like, "No, you're wrong." More like, "Don't." I sat down. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I pulled out my phone, but I had almost no service. One bar blinking. The airport Wi-Fi was gone. I tried calling my mom, straight to voicemail. I texted, "I'm on shuttle but it's going weird. If I don't answer, call police." The message didn't send. The shuttle kept going. We ended up on a road that looked like it ran behind warehouses. Big dark shapes, chain-link fences, and long stretches with no streetlights. The windows on the shuttle had started fogging up. It felt like we were sealed inside a moving lung. I forced myself to look at the other passengers again. The red scarf woman stared forward. Two guys in hoodies sat in the back like statues. An older man near the front kept his hands folded like he was praying. Nobody spoke. The driver took a turn into a lot. Not a parking lot with rows and signs. A lot with potholes and weeds. The shuttle slowed and stopped beside a building that looked abandoned. One dim light over a side door. Everything else dark. He opened the doors. Cold air rushed in. "Off," he said. Nobody moved. Then the older man near the front stood up like he had no choice. He walked off the shuttle. He didn't look back. The red scarf woman stood up next. Before she stepped down, she looked at me again. Up close, her face was pale. Lips cracked. Like she'd been outside too long. She whispered, barely audible, "Don't fight. Don't run. Just don't." Then she stepped off. My stomach flipped. I grabbed my backpack and stood up, because I didn't know what else to do. Because staying felt worse. The moment my feet hit the pavement, I realized how quiet it was. No airport noise. No planes. No distant traffic. Just wind, and the soft ticking sound of the shuttle's engine cooling. The driver didn't come out. He just sat there. The building's side door opened. And a man stepped out. Tall. Skinny. Wearing a reflective vest like airport staff. He waved like this was routine, like this was just another bus unloading tired travelers. "Come on," he called. "Inside. Warm up." The older man went first. Like a zombie. The red scarf woman followed. The guy in the reflective vest looked at me, and his smile twitched. Not friendly. Just practiced. I hesitated, and the driver behind me finally moved. The shuttle's doors hissed again, but not opening. Closing. I turned around. The driver's hand was on the lever. He was closing me in. Panic hit me like a punch. I lunged forward toward the building, because what else do you do? And the guy in the vest stepped closer, smiling wider. Then I heard something that made my blood run cold. A second shuttle engine. Behind the building. Another bus pulled into view, lights off, moving slow. It parked on the other side like it was meeting us. The guy in the vest glanced at it, then back to me. His smile didn't break. "New group," he said, like he was explaining the weather. I backed up. My legs felt weak. And that's when I noticed something on the pavement near the door. A luggage tag. Bright airline tag, bent and dirty. It had a name on it. A flight number. And the date. It was from last Christmas. I didn't mean to, but I blurted out. Where is this? The guy in the vest tilted his head. Where do you think? Behind him, through the open door, I saw a hallway. Dark, long. And at the far end, I swear I saw a row of chairs, like airport seating, and a Christmas tree lit up, like someone had tried to recreate the airport inside that building. But it looked wrong. Too dim. Too quiet. Too staged. The red scarf woman turned around in the doorway and looked back at me. Her eyes begged me to stop asking questions. To just go. But my body finally did what it should have done from the start. I ran. Not toward the building. Away from it. Across the lot, toward the weeds and the fence line, because I saw a gap where the chain link sagged. I heard shouting behind me. Not words. Just angry noise. My shoes slipped in mud. I crashed through weeds, got caught on something sharp, felt it rip my jeans. My backpack bounced like it was trying to drag me down. Then I heard the shuttle doors slam. And an engine rev. They were coming after me. I found the gap in the fence and threw myself through it. The metal scraped my arms. The backpack snagged. I yanked until it tore free, leaving a strip of fabric behind. I hit the other side and kept running. I didn't look back until I reached a road. And when I did, I saw the shuttle's headlights, slowly sweeping the lot, like a predator searching. I ran along the road until I saw a gas station in the distance, bright lights like salvation. I burst inside, panting, shaking, muddy. The cashier looked up, startled. You all right? I couldn't even speak right. I just choked out. Call, police. Airport shuttle. Wrong shuttle. The cashier grabbed the phone, but when he asked where it happened, I realized something. I didn't know. I didn't know what road I was on. I didn't know what building that was. I didn't know how far from the airport we'd gone. The police arrived maybe 15 minutes later. A patrol car and a second one. They took my statement, drove me around, tried to find the place. We never did. Not that night. Not the next day. They told me it was probably a misunderstanding. A private shuttle. A maintenance lot. The driver took a wrong turn. But that's not the part that keeps me up. It's what happened later. A week after Christmas, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but I did. A woman's voice. Soft. Familiar. Hey, she said. I froze. It was the red scarf woman. How did you get this number? I asked. She didn't answer. She just said, You weren't supposed to run. My mouth went dry. Who are you? I'm the one who still answers, she said. Then she hung up. I tried calling back, no answer. I told the police. They traced it. It came from a prepaid phone bought with cash. And the last thing is something I didn't tell my mom. When I finally got to the real economy lot the next day, after police drove me back to the airport, I found my car. But on the windshield, there was a folded paper. No note. Just a luggage tag. An airline tag. With my name on it. And the date. Next Christmas. This one happened to a couple I knew, friends of friends. And when they told it, it sounded like they were still trying to convince themselves it was real. They were driving up to a mountain town for New Year's. They didn't want a crowded hotel, so they booked this cozy, secluded cabin. they found online. The listing had cute photos. String lights. Fireplace. Snow on pine trees. The reviews were short, but positive. Perfect. So peaceful. Would stay again. They left after work on December 30th. Packed snacks, made a playlist, had that excited holiday mood. By the time they got off the highway, it was dark. The GPS told them to turn onto a smaller road. Then a smaller one. Then a road that looked like it didn't get plowed. Their tires crunched through snow. The car's headlights cut through swirling flakes. The world beyond the beams was just black. The girlfriend, Kayla, kept checking the address. "This feels wrong," she said. Her boyfriend, Mark, laughed it off. "It's a cabin. Cabins are always in weird places." They lost service after another mile. No bars. No map loading. Just the GPS arrow floating on a blank screen like it had drifted off the edge of the world. Then the GPS voice said, "You have arrived." Mark slowed. "Where?" They were in the middle of the road. No driveway. No cabin. Nothing but trees and snow. Kayla's laugh came out nervous. "Maybe it's behind the trees." They drove a few more feet, and then they saw it. A narrow path splitting off the road, like two tire tracks pressed into snow. No sign. No mailbox. But down that path, maybe 30 yards in, there were lights. Warm yellow lights. "See?" Mark said, relieved. "It's right there." They turned in. The path was tight. Branches scraped the sides of the car. Snow muffled the engine sound, making the whole drive feel like they were gliding. Then the cabin came into full view. It looked like the listing. A-frame style, wood exterior, porch with string lights. But there was something off. Something about the way the lights hung, too neat. Too evenly spaced. Like someone measured them. Kayla got out first and immediately said, "It's too quiet." Mark shrugged. "Snow does that." The front door was unlocked. That was the first bad sign. "Maybe they do self-check-in," Mark said, trying to stay upbeat. Inside, the air was cold, but not as cold as outside. The fireplace had ashes in it like it had been used recently. There was a faint smell, wood smoke and something sour underneath. They set their bags down. The cabin was small: living room, kitchenette, one bedroom, bathroom. Kayla walked to the window and stared out. "All I see is trees," she said. Mark pulled out his phone. "No service." "Great. So it's just us." He tried the Wi-Fi information the host had sent. The network name showed up. Cabin_guest. But when he tried to connect, it asked for a password. The password from the message didn't work. He tried again. Still no. Kayla went into the bathroom and came back holding something between two fingers like it was dirty. A toothbrush. Not theirs. Mark frowned. "Maybe housekeeping forgot it." Kayla's eyes moved around the cabin like she was suddenly noticing details. On the coffee table was a deck of cards. Already opened. There was a mug in the sink. Still damp. Someone had been there. Recently. Mark tried to laugh again. "Okay, maybe the host was here earlier." "It's fine." Kayla didn't laugh. They decided to unpack anyway. Make the best of it. It was New Year's. They wanted a reset, a fresh start, all that. They lit the fireplace. It caught quickly, too quickly, like the wood was already prepared. The warmth helped, But it didn't fix the feeling that the cabin was watching them. At around 10 p.m., Kayla said she wanted to step outside for a second. Clear her head. Mark went with her. The air was bitter cold. The snow reflected the porch lights, making everything glow faintly. They stood there, breathing white clouds. And that's when they saw the footprints. Not theirs. Coming from the trees. Leading up to the cabin. And stopping right at the porch steps. Mark's smile faded. Those could be old. Kayla pointed. No. Look. The edges were sharp. Fresh. Mark took a step down, following them with his eyes, and then he saw something else. Another set of footprints. Leading away? But not back into the woods. They went around the side of the cabin. Mark said, I'm going to check. Kayla grabbed his sleeve. Don't. He pulled away, trying to act brave, and walked around the cabin. Kayla stayed on the porch, hugging herself. She heard Mark say softly, Kayla? She followed. Around the side of the cabin was a basement door. It wasn't in the listing photos. It was half buried in snow, like it hadn't been opened in a while. But the footprints led right to it. And the padlock was hanging open. Mark reached for the handle. Kayla's voice shook. Mark, stop. He looked back at her, annoyed. It's probably storage. He pulled the door. It opened with a wet creak, like metal scraping metal. Cold air poured out. Not normal cold. Basement cold. The kind that smells like dirt and old water. Mark clicked on his phone flashlight and leaned in. Kayla stood behind him, heart pounding. The beams swept down wooden stairs. Then, a sound from inside. A tiny sound. Like a cough. Mark froze. Kayla whispered, Did you hear? Another sound. A shuffle. And then a voice. Barely more than breath. Don't close it. Mark stepped back so fast he almost fell. Kayla's stomach dropped. Mark's flashlight shook as he aimed it down again. At the bottom of the stairs, there was someone. A person sitting on the floor, knees to their chest. Long hair hanging over their face. They raised their heads slightly and the light caught one eye. Wide. Wet. Terrified. Kayla choked out. Oh my God! The person whispered. They leave it open sometimes. That means they're coming back. Mark snapped into action. We're calling. He stopped. Because he remembered. No service. No Wi-Fi. Just forest. The person in the basement shook their head, like they could read his thoughts. You can't, they whispered. They don't let it work here. Kayla backed away, trembling. Who are you? The person swallowed. I was a guest. Mark's voice went sharp. Where's the host? The person's eyes flicked toward the dark behind them. In the trees, they whispered. Sometimes in the walls. Sometimes, right behind you. Kayla felt a rush of nausea. Mark stepped back from the basement door. We're leaving, he said firm. Right now. Kayla nodded so hard it hurt. But before they could move, the porch lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then steadied. Mark froze. Kayla's voice came out small. What? A knock. From inside the cabin. Not at the front door. From inside. 3 slow knocks. Like someone was standing in the living room, knocking on the wall. Mark whispered, We didn't close the door. Kayla stared at the front entrance. It was still open. And the cabin was still. Too still. Then the basement person whispered, urgently, "If they think you saw me, they'll keep you too." Mark's face went white. He grabbed Kayla's hand and pulled her toward the car. They didn't even grab their bags. They ran through snow, slipping, breathing hard, yanking the car doors open. Mark jammed the key in, hands shaking. The engine turned over. Once. Twice. Then died. Kayla's voice rose into panic. "No, no, no!" Mark tried again. Nothing. Just a clicking sound. Like the battery was dead. But it wasn't dead 10 minutes ago. Kayla looked up. And saw someone standing at the edge of the trees. Just a shape at first. Tall. Still. Watching. Then another shape appeared beside it. Then another. Like shadows stepping out of shadows. Mark's voice cracked. "Get in. Lock the doors." Kayla slammed her lock down. Her breath came fast. The figures didn't run. They didn't rush. They just started walking slowly toward the car. And that slow approach was worse than anything. Like they knew there was nowhere to go. Mark whispered, "We're stuck." Kayla's eyes flicked to the cabin. The basement door was still open. The person down there, still visible, still watching them, shook their head wildly like, "Don't come back, don't come back." Kayla started crying. "What do we do?" Mark looked around like a trapped animal. Then he did the only thing he could think of. He laid on the horn. The sound shattered the quiet. Loud, desperate, echoing through the woods. The figures didn't react at first. Then, one of them tilted its head. Like it was listening. Not annoyed. Interested. Mark kept honking. Over and over. Minutes felt like hours. The figures got closer. Then, far away, a different sound answered. An engine. A vehicle. Headlights appeared on the road beyond the path. A truck moving slow, like it wasn't sure what it was driving into. The figures stopped. Not because they were scared. Because they were deciding. The truck turned into the path, lights flooding the area. And the figures retreated. Not running. Just stepping back into the trees like they were never there. The truck pulled up behind Mark's car. A man got out, middle-aged, heavy jacket, baseball cap. He walked up, looking confused. "What the hell are you doing out here? I heard that horn from the road." Mark burst out of the car like he'd been holding his breath for an hour. "Our car won't start. We need help. Please." The man looked at the cabin. His face tightened. "That place isn't supposed to be lit." Kayla stepped out, voice trembling. "Do you know it?" The man didn't answer right away. He stared at the trees like he was expecting someone to stare back. Then he said quietly, "My brother went missing last New Year's." Kayla felt her knees go weak. Mark said, "There's someone in the basement." The man's eyes widened. "What?" Mark started toward the cabin. The man grabbed his arm hard. "No. You don't go in there," Mark insisted. "There's a person. They need help." The man hesitated, jaw working, then finally said, "Fine. But quick. And stay in the light." They approached the basement door. It was still open. The stairs still there. Mark shone his flashlight. The basement was empty. No person. No movement. Just dirt floor and old shelves. Kayla whispered, "No, no, they were right there." The man leaned in, face pale. There's no basement. Not on any map. Not in any property records. That cabin doesn't exist. Mark's throat tightened. We were inside it. The man backed away, eyes fixed on the darkness below. Then he said something that made Kayla feel sick. Sometimes people say they rented it online, he murmured. They say the listing disappears after. Mark pulled out his phone and opened the rental app. The booking was still there. He clicked the cabin listing. It loaded for a second. Then the screen went white. Listing not available. He refreshed. The cabin was gone like it had never been listed. The man grabbed Mark's shoulder. Get in my truck. Now. They didn't argue. They left their bags, their holiday clothes, everything. The man drove them down the mountain, and the whole time Kayla stared out the window, convinced she'd see those figures pacing them between the trees. They made it to the first town with service, and Mark called the police. They went back the next day with officers. They couldn't find the path. Couldn't find the cabin. Couldn't find any lights. Just a snowy roadside and trees. The police treated them like they were confused tourists. But that night, back at Mark's parents' house, Kayla got an email. From the host. No name. Just an address like Norripley at Stay Cozy or something generic. One sentence. Thank you for spending New Year's with us. We hope you enjoyed your stay. And attached to the email was a photo. A porch. String lights. Snow. And in the reflection of the cabin window, Kayla and Mark, standing outside, staring toward the trees, and behind them, in the darkness, a row of shapes, smiling. Some people hear this story and laugh at first. They stop laughing when I tell them the detail that matters. This happened to a guy named Eric who drove overnight every year to see his dad for Christmas. It was tradition. 7 hours on the road, gas station coffee, and stopping at the same rest area around 2 a.m. He liked that rest stop because it was always lit, always had vending machines, always had a few tired travelers coming and going. It made him feel safe. This year, December 23rd into the 24th, there was a storm. Not the kind that shuts roads down, but enough to make everything slick and quiet. Snow dusted the shoulder. The sky was a low gray even at night, reflecting headlights. Eric was getting tired. He told himself he'd stop at his usual rest area, splash water on his face, and keep going. At around 2 a.m., he pulled in. The lot was emptier than usual. One truck. One minivan. And something else. A man standing near the bathroom building. Eric almost didn't notice him at first because of the red. The man was wearing a Santa suit. Not a cheap one either. Thick red fabric, white trim, big belt. Even the hat. He stood under a light, hands clasped in front of him, like he was waiting for someone. Eric chuckled to himself. Somebody's holiday party went late. He parked, got out, and immediately felt that weird rest-stop stillness. The snow made everything muffled. The air smelled like cold concrete and pine. Eric walked toward the bathrooms. Santa turned and looked at him. And here's the detail. Santa didn't wave. Didn't smile. He just stared. Eric nodded awkwardly as he passed. Merry Christmas. Santa's head tilted slightly. Then Santa said, in a low voice that didn't match the costume at all, You shouldn't be alone this late. Eric stopped, half laughing. I'm good, man. Santa took one step closer into the light. Eric saw the beard. It was real. Not costume fluff. Real white beard, thick and uneven. And the eyes above it were wrong. Not drunk party wrong. Empty wrong. Santa said, You're going to fall asleep. Eric's smile faded. Okay. He kept walking. Inside the bathroom building, the fluorescent lights flickered. It smelled like bleach and damp paper towels. Eric went to the sink, splashed water on his face, and stared at himself in the mirror. He told himself to chill out. Then he noticed something. On the mirror, written in the fog above the sink like someone had traced letters with a finger, was a message. Stay awake. Eric froze. He hadn't been breathing on the mirror long enough to fog it. And the words were too clear, too deliberate. He backed away slowly. Then he heard the bathroom door open. Heavy footsteps. He turned. Santa had walked in. Santa stood just inside the doorway. The bathroom lights flickered again, and for a split second, the room went dim. When the lights steadied, Santa had moved closer. Eric's heart slammed. Santa spoke softly. You didn't listen. Eric forced his voice steady. Hey, you need to leave. Right now. Santa's mouth twitched under the beard. It's Christmas, he said. People don't ask questions on Christmas. Eric reached into his pocket for his keys. Santa's eyes dropped to Eric's hand. Then Santa said, Don't go to your car. Eric's throat tightened. Why? Santa took another step. Eric backed up. His shoulder hit the stall door behind him. Santa whispered, I've already been in it. Eric's blood ran cold. Before Eric could respond, the lights flickered again, longer this time. When they came back, Santa wasn't in the doorway anymore. He was beside Eric. Close enough that Eric smelled him. Not cookies. Not cologne. Something like old sweat and soil. Eric shoved past him and ran out. He sprinted across the lot, slipping on icy patches, fumbling for his door handle. He yanked the car door open and jumped in, locking it instantly. His hands shook so hard he dropped the keys once before getting them into the ignition. He tried to start the car. It started. Thank God. He slammed it into reverse. And then something in the back seat moved. Eric's entire body seized. He turned his head slowly. The back seat was dark. But he could make out a shape. A lump under a blanket. Like someone lying down. Eric couldn't breathe. He whispered, No. The blanket shifted. And a voice from behind him, low, calm, said, Ho, ho, ho! Eric screamed. He threw the car into drive without looking and floored it. The tires spun on ice, then caught, and the car shot forward out of the rest stop lot onto the highway. Eric didn't stop. Didn't look back. He drove like he was escaping a fire. His heart hammered so hard he thought it might burst. After a few minutes, he forced himself to glance in the rearview mirror. The back seat was empty. No blanket lump. Nothing. Just the outline of the seats. Eric was shaking so badly he nearly swerved. He told himself maybe it was a prank. Maybe his mind filled in details. But then he smelled it again. That soil smell. He looked down. On the passenger seat, where he hadn't put anything, was a red Santa hat. Folded neatly. Like a gift. Eric didn't touch it. He kept driving. He made it to his dad's house around dawn, pale and wrecked. He told his dad he almost got robbed at a rest stop. He didn't mention Santa, because it sounded insane. His dad, half asleep, just told him to get some rest. Eric went to his old bedroom and collapsed. He didn't even take his shoes off. He fell asleep instantly. And that's when it got worse. He dreamed he was back in the bathroom. The flickering lights. The message on the mirror. Santa behind him. But in the dream, Santa wasn't wearing the suit anymore. He was just a tall man with a white beard and dead eyes smiling too wide. Santa leaned close and whispered, "I told you to stay awake." Eric jolted awake in real life, gasping. And there, in the dim light of his childhood bedroom, hanging on the door handle, was the Santa hat. Not on the floor where he left it in the car. Not downstairs. On his bedroom door. Folded neatly. Like someone had placed it there while he slept. Eric ran downstairs. His dad was in the kitchen, humming, making coffee. Eric's voice cracked. "Did you come upstairs?" His dad looked confused. "No." Eric swallowed. "Did anyone else come in?" His dad laughed softly. "It's just us, buddy." Eric stared at his dad. Then he noticed something on the kitchen table. A Christmas card. Eric hadn't seen it earlier. It was plain. Red and white. No name on the envelope. His dad opened it casually, thinking it was holiday mail. Inside was one line, written in messy handwriting. "He fell asleep." Eric couldn't move. His dad's smile faded. "What the hell?" Eric looked toward the window. Outside, snow was falling softly. And at the edge of the yard, near the trees, for just a second, he thought he saw a red shape. Standing still, watching the house. Then it was gone. Eric spent the rest of Christmas wide awake. And every year after that he flies. He refuses to drive. But he still says sometimes, when he's sitting in an airport at night, half asleep in a chair, he catches a smell. Soil. And something like old sweat. And when he looks up, he swears he sees a red hat, moving through the crowd. Looking for someone who's tired. Looking for someone to close their eyes. This is the one that sounds like a classic horror movie setup. That's why it's so easy to dismiss. Until you hear what happened with the key. A woman named Dana was traveling for work right before Christmas. Her company promised she'd be home by Christmas Eve. They didn't deliver. Her final flight got delayed, then cancelled, then rebooked. By the time she landed in a different city, it was almost midnight on December 24th. The airport was chaos. People yelling at the desk. Families sprawled on the floor. The smell of pretzels and stress. Dana just wanted a bed. Every hotel near the airport was sold out. She finally found one older place about 15 minutes away that said they had one room left. She booked it instantly. She took a cab. The driver barely spoke. The city outside the window looked drained, wet streets, dull street lights, holiday decorations drooping in the rain like they were tired too. The hotel was a 2-story building, the kind with doors that opened directly to the outside. Like a motel pretending to be a hotel. The lobby smelled like old carpet and lemon cleaner. A Christmas tree sat in the corner with half its lights out. Behind the desk was a man with gray hair and a forced smile. Dana said, "I have a reservation." Dana Parker. He typed slowly, eyes flicking to her face, then away. Yes, he said. We have you. Dana exhaled. Thank you. I've had a long day. He smiled thinly. Everyone has tonight. He slid a key card across the counter. Room 217. Then, as Dana reached for it, his hand stayed on the card for half a second. Like he didn't want to let go. Dana paused. Is something wrong? His smile didn't change, but his eyes did. They looked apologetic. No, he said. Just lock the deadbolt. Dana frowned. Okay. And, he added, lowering his voice, if someone knocks, don't answer. Dana's stomach tightened. Why? He swallowed. Holiday travelers. People get desperate. Dana forced a laugh. Right. She took the card and walked out into the cold corridor. Her heels clicked on the concrete. She found 217 on the second floor, at the far end. It was quieter there. Too quiet. She swiped the key. Green light. The door opened. The room looked normal. Beige walls. A bed with stiff pillows. A TV. A bathroom light humming. Dana threw her suitcase down and locked the door. Then she did what the desk guy said. She slid the deadbolt. And the chain. Only, there was no chain. Just the deadbolt. Dana stared at it. Why would he say chain? She shook it off as exhaustion and went to the bathroom to wash her face. When she came back out, she noticed something she hadn't seen at first. The closet door was slightly open. Just a crack. Dana stared at it, then laughed under her breath. You're tired. Stop. She walked over and pulled it open fully. Empty. Just hangers. She closed it. Then she heard a sound. From the hallway. A soft shuffle, like someone's shoes dragging. Then it stopped right outside her door. Dana's breath caught. She stood still, listening. A knock. Gentle. 3 taps. Dana didn't move. The desk guy's warning replayed in her head. If someone knocks, don't answer. The knock came again. 3 taps, a little louder. Then a voice. A woman's voice, soft and shaky. Hi. I'm sorry. I think I have the wrong room. Can you help me? Dana's heart twisted. It sounded like someone in trouble. But it also sounded rehearsed. Like the words were chosen carefully. Dana didn't respond. Silence. Then the woman's voice changed slightly, still soft, but flatter. Please! Dana backed away from the door slowly. The voice whispered, I know you're in there. Dana's blood ran cold. The door handle jiggled lightly. Just once. Then stillness again. Dana grabbed her phone and called the front desk. It rang. Once. Twice. No answer. She tried again. No answer. She checked the time. 12:37 a.m. Christmas Eve. Dana's mouth went dry. Then she heard it. A quiet beep. Right at her door. Like a keycard being swiped. Dana froze. The beep happened again. Then again. Someone was trying different cards. Her heart hammered. Then, green light. The lock clicked. Dana stared at the door. The deadbolt was still in place, so it didn't open. But the fact that the lock clicked meant someone had a working key card for her room. From the other side, the woman whispered, almost amused. It works. Dana backed away, shaking, and grabbed the heaviest thing she could find, the desk chair. She held it like a weapon, eyes locked on the door. The handle turned slowly. It pushed against the deadbolt. It didn't open. The woman sighed. Open it! Dana didn't answer. The woman's tone dropped. No more shaky act. Now it was cold. Open it, she repeated. Or I'll wait until you sleep. Dana's throat tightened. She whispered to herself. No. No. Then she heard another sound. Not from the hallway. From inside the room. A tiny click. Like plastic tapping plastic. Dana turned her head. The closet door. The one she had closed. It was opening again. Slowly. Just a crack. Dana's whole body went numb. Because she hadn't touched it. She kept her eyes on the closet as it opened wider. Darkness inside. Then a face. Not fully. Just a sliver, an eye reflecting the room light. Someone was inside her closet. Dana's mind went white with panic. She screamed and ran for the bathroom, slamming the door and locking it. She stood there shaking, phone in hand, trying to call 911. No service. She stared at her screen. One bar. Flickering. She tried anyway. The call didn't go through. Outside the bathroom door, she heard movement. Soft footsteps. Then, a gentle knock. From inside the room. Not the hallway. A voice, very close, said softly, Dana! Come out! Dana's blood turned to ice. She hadn't told anyone her name. She backed up until she hit the bathtub, breathing fast, trying not to make noise. The voice whispered again, patient. Come out! We just want to talk. Dana's mind raced. The bathroom window. She looked. It was small, but it opened. She shoved it up. Cold air hit her face. She could climb out. But it was the second floor. She leaned out and saw the roof over the lobby entrance below, slanted. She could drop onto it. Maybe. She heard the bathroom doorknob jiggle. Slow at first. Then harder. Dana didn't think. She climbed out the window. Her hands slipped on wet metal. Her feet searched for something solid. She dropped, hard, onto the slanted roof, pain shooting up her ankle. She slid a bit, caught herself on a gutter, and then scrambled toward the edge. Below was a patch of bushes and mud. Dana jumped. She landed badly, rolled, scraped her arms, but she didn't stop moving. She ran barefoot across the lot, suitcase forgotten, yelling for help. Lights turned on in a few rooms. A man opened a door and stared. Dana screamed, Call the police! He hesitated, shocked. Then behind Dana, from the second-floor corridor, she saw movement. A silhouette at her room door. Someone leaning out, watching her. Not running after her. Just watching. Dana ran into the lobby. The desk was empty. No clerk. No bell. Just a dead Christmas tree blinking. Dana slammed her hands on the counter and screamed again. Finally, from a back room, the desk clerk appeared, looking tired. Like he already knew. Dana sobbed. Someone was in my room. Someone tried to get in. They knew my name. The clerk's face didn't change much. He just nodded slowly and said, You didn't answer the door. Dana stared. What? He reached under the desk and pulled out something. A keycard packet. He opened it and slid it to her. Inside were 2 cards. Room 217. Dana's hands shook. That's what you gave me. He nodded. Yes. Then he pulled out a second packet. Also room 217. Dana's stomach dropped. Why are there two? The clerk's voice went quiet. Because, he said, 217 was never empty. Dana couldn't breathe. What do you mean? He looked up at her, eyes heavy. Last Christmas Eve, he said, a woman checked into 217 and disappeared. Police tore this place apart. They never found her. After that, strange things started happening. Dana whispered. So why would you rent it? The clerk swallowed. Because, he said, it's always available. Dana's blood ran cold. She stared at the cards, then at him. Where's the security? She asked. The clerk laughed once, humorless. Quit. Every single one. Dana backed away slowly. Then she noticed something behind the desk on the wall. A set of hooks with room keys. And one hook was labeled 217. But it wasn't empty. It had a key card packet hanging there. Not two. Not one. A whole stack. Like 217 had been checked into over and over and over. Dana whispered. How many people? A sound cut her off. Footsteps. Upstairs. Slow. Coming down the stairwell. Dana turned and saw a woman at the top of the stairs. Hair messy. Clothes dark. Face pale. It was the same voice from the door. She smiled at Dana like they were friends. And she held up a finger to her lips. Shh. Dana ran. She ran out of the lobby, into the street, flagged down a passing car, begged the driver to take her anywhere with people. She spent Christmas Eve in a crowded diner until morning, calling her family, crying, trying to make sense of it. When police finally went to the hotel with her later that day, the building was there. But the lobby was closed. Doors locked. No cars. No Christmas tree. A sign in the window read, "Closed for renovations." Dana pounded on the door until an officer pulled her back. He asked if she was sure it was the right place. Dana pointed to the second floor. That's my room. 217. The officer looked up. There was number 217. The room numbers stopped at 216. Dana insisted. She showed her booking confirmation. The officer frowned. Ma'am, this address hasn't been a hotel in years. Dana's phone buzzed. A notification. From the booking app. Your stay has been completed. Please leave a review. Dana's fingers trembled as she opened it. The listing now had no photos. No description. Just a title. Last room available. And one review. Posted the minute her notification came in. It was from a user with no profile picture. The review said. She didn't answer the door. Those were 4 very scary true holiday travel horror stories. And if there's one lesson in all of them, it's this. The holidays don't make you safer. They just make you less suspicious. Which story scared you the most? Comment below and subscribe for more true horror stories.